The Book of Zechariah is not a blueprint for a distant, physical future, but, like all the prophets, it was a blueprint of the messianic promise of the latter days, the very era when Jesus Christ walked the earth. Within that precise window of human history, it was foretold that the Messiah would birth the kingdom of heaven, forever shifting from the physical shadow of the old to the heavenly pattern of the new covenant. Zechariah meticulously charts the Messiah's first-century mission. Zechariah 9:9 cries out, "Behold, thy king cometh unto thee, lowly, and riding upon an ass." Yet, his humble arrival demanded a choice that only a remnant would make. For most, as Isaiah prophesied, the Messiah would become a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel. He was the foundation rejected by the builders, a spiritual rock that shattered the old religious order. Zechariah 11:13 confirms the exact moment the old covenant was rejected and the price of this rejection: 30 pieces of silver, which was cast to the potter in the house of the Lord. Zechariah 12 reveals the ultimate battle of the spiritual forces of Gog and Magog rising up against the kingdom of heaven, the spiritual Jerusalem that had come down to man. Acts 4:25-28 identifies the kings of the earth, Herod and Pontius Pilate, together with the Gentiles and the people of Israel as the spiritual forces gathered together against the Christ. The false shepherds and physical rulers were merely the earthly manifestation of dark, unseen spiritual forces that God would hook in their jaws to draw them against his Messiah. Yet, this spiritual Jerusalem became an immovable, burdensome stone, rendering judgment against the unfaithful idol shepherds. Zechariah 12:10 declares, "They shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him." From that very piercing at Calvary, the new covenant together with a new spiritual nation was birthed in one day, as foretold. Zechariah 13:1 promises, "In that day there shall be a fountain opened to the house of David, for sin and for uncleanness." This is the blood of Jesus Christ, cleansing the true believers and dissolving the old fleshly sacrificial system forever. In Zechariah 14, Christ executes final judgment on the corrupt spiritual authorities within Israel. This cleaving represents the deep ideological fracture of first-century Judaism, the increasing split between the radical zealots on one side and those who sought to assimilate with pagan Rome on the other, which would ultimately lead to the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. And there will be a time of trouble, such as never was. Out of this chaotic divide, Christ carved a divine valley of escape, a direct path of deliverance through the victory of the cross. From this victory flows the fulfillment of Zechariah 14:8, the promise of living waters from the heavenly Jerusalem. The old fleshly system is rejected and judged. The entering in of the heavenly promised land, of God within, is complete, and those in covenant with God through the new covenant dwell eternally in the presence of God.